Check your calendar, viewer. It's 2077, the year the game takes place. Someone had to do a retrospective, and I wasn't going to let anyone beat me to it. In this review, I will recount my entire playthrough to you, so you never have to have fun. But it's not just a waste of time. Oh no, viewer. This video is unique because I'll be scoring the game's predictions of the future out of 10. Sci-fi media is renowned for having a lot of cool ideas, and reality is renowned for rudely stealing them. First things first, a little history. Big history would take too long to cover. The game came out way back in 2020 and made a name for itself for being crap. Cyberpunk 2077 released December 10th and was heavily criticized for being extremely good looking, overly realistic, and really funny. So why was everyone so pissed off? To tell you the truth, previous gen consoles just weren't powerful enough to run good games anymore. How did CD Projekt Red screw this up so badly? Trick question. The game was unplayable on purpose. That's right. They predicted the future by embodying AAA game quality before it was mainstream, and they didn't stop there. CDPR eventually fixed the game, but in a way once thought impossible. This was the first ever game to have its bugs patched by anime. Shows you what little we know about game development, and it only took them a measly 2 years. In recent memory, Black Ops 41 still doesn't have visuals. It's been 11 years and they still haven't fixed it. CD Projekt Red got the day one disaster thing about the industry correct, but they fixed it far too quickly. So I'm going to give this prediction a 6 out of 10. Not the worst, just bad. Right, enough about the past. There's too many dead people there. Let's boot up the game. To start things off, I needed to pick my life path. I ignored Street Kid because I didn't want my character to be a child, and not Corpo. The splash art wasn't composed the same as the other two. Both characters are trapped behind the car, sinking into a river of blood, and I didn't want either of those things to happen to me. So, Nomad it was. Character creation. Because I couldn't possibly recreate my alien appearance, I generated random features, and already we've run into a problem. Today, people are hotter than this. Take a look at the average 35-year-old. As you can see, none of these options hold a candle to this stud. The writers clearly didn't speculate that in the year 2069, the cosmetic and beauty industries would see exponential growth and cultural relevance. The reason is pretty obvious. Experts dubbed it the year of yummy. Maybe someone would find these faces lovable, but come on. No one would willingly send their hairline anywhere near there. Hardly a futuristic look, CD Projekt Red. -3 out of 10. I made the most 2010s YouTube looking person I possibly could and officially started the game. We opened to our main character, V, switching off a mirror? We can't fucking do that. Reflect on your decisions out of 10. Then, within the first 2 minutes of the intro, I got distracted by these alluring characters. Don't worry though, it was only a momentary lapse in my focus. After that bump in the road, I was actually quite engrossed. I already played this when I was 20-something, but I skipped all the dialogue. I only cared for the high-octane crafting gameplay. This time though, I was completely consumed by the world of Cyberpunk. I got lost in the lovingly rendered dirt roads, I nearly missed that turn, took in the vast, breathtaking healing inhalers, and immersed myself in a lie. I'm lying. I was bored because I wasn't entertained, and it was all the story's fault. Yes, the moment-to-moment narrative expertly fleshes out the complex world of Cyberpunk, and introduces the player to many wonderfully written characters. But if they're so well written, why are they here? You can't read a video game. Put the writing in a book where it belongs. Alas, just so you don't miss anything, I'll quickly summarize Act 1. V is an aspiring penis whisperer.
Thanks, Willie. I owe you one.
He becomes best buds with the guy wearing Dr. Eggman's nipple cups. They get a high-stakes job to steal from a deviant named Yorinobu Arasaka. His deviance is evidenced by a brain dance that revealed how frisky Adam Smasher was when he left Yorinobu's apartment.
You look like a cut of meat.
Bearing in mind that this BD is from the perspective of an escort whom he has relations with. He's a dog. So, we can deduce the thing V and Eggman are commissioned to steal is probably pornographic in nature. I'm sorry I have to say it that way, it's so the channel doesn't get deleted. When doing the actual heist, Yorinobu and his dad make an untimely appearance, so the daring duo hide. Yorinobu lovingly embraces his father, then V and Eggman discover that love kills. After the cowards run away, Eggman is forced to store the chip in his brain. Rookie mistake. It turns out we were correct. It was a sex chip, and that's not where sex goes. To no one's surprise, he dies. Probably from the sex, and V makes the same mistake, but miraculously, a bullet kills him instead. Actually, no, he's fine. Through sci-fi wizardry, the corn fills in V's missing brain chunks, but only temporarily. The sultry content will spread, ultimately killing him. Luckily, how long it'll take is variable. It'll all depend on how often V decks his head. That was a Netrunner joke for the chumbas at home. In other words, the more V indulges on himself, the more damage the chip will do. Turns out, the shard wasn't any old BD. It's actually a one-of-a-kind augmented reality shard called Keanu Reams, in which you can have fun with an engram of Keanu's actual consciousness, wherever, whenever. A priceless commodity only Arasaka money could buy. V makes it home. Now, I know I'm skipping the dialogue here, but by the way the scene plays out, we can safely say Act 1 ends with V failing to resist Keanu's seductions for the first time. And then they had sex. Not off to a great start, V. If you want to live, you have to know Nut November. Like, every month. This might sound a little generous, but 10 out of 10. The technology that's central to the story is just like our Neuralinks today, and to a life-threatening degree, everyone's addicted to corn. Well done, CDPR. After Act 1, I still had thousands of minutes worth of gameplay, in which I spent the rest of my time trying to resist Keanu Reams. That's it. That's the story. A lot of stuff happens in between, and that stuff would be great if we had the attention span. Kind of a snooze fest. However, there is salvation. Cyberpunk's most brilliant feature is these screens strewn about the boring segments. Once your attention starts to wane, you've always got one of these to save you. Unfortunately, there were a couple moments where the dialogue was unskippable. I think this was because the NPCs got tired after I sped them up so much. Understandable they'd want to slow down for a bit, so these screens came in very handy. My favorite use of this mechanic was in the diner with Goro Takemura, bodyguard for Saburo, and also a witness to the love murder. It was a discussion setting up the main events of the game, but Jesus Christ, get on with it. Even when you think it's over, Keanu Reams jumps in for another unskippable speech. But no worries. Screen. I don't think I would have made it through the engrossing dialogue without it. Anyway, what did we glean from that conversation? Takemura agrees to help you get the adult content out of your brain, only if you help him get head from Yorinobu.
I have allies prepared to bring Yorinobu to his knees.
It's going to be a miracle if this video makes it to the website. Finally, the convo ended. Before I got locked into more endless dialogue, I decided to explore the open world and do some side quests. I ran around the streets for a bit and happened across a gaggle of gangsters, all marked by yellow arrows. Although I understand yellow-arrowed people have the potential to be hostile, I've been in public places with them many times before with no problems. I mean, check out this guy, having a smoke, leaning up against the wall. They all looked pretty chill.
I'm sorry.
Alright, my bad. If you didn't know, Cyberpunk 2077 is what gamers call a first-person shooter. The reason the genre is called this is because everyone shoots the first person they see. I'm sorry if my performance causes a neural crash. My reflexes have become sluggish in my old age.
Oh my god, I can't do it. I'm sorry.
But is it really my fault when Cyberpunk's controls have aged like time? Video games have evolved far beyond this. A mouse and keyboard just isn't as intuitive anymore. I can't believe we ever used to play like this. I much prefer the modern way, where we just think about winning. It's a lot more intuitive, and you actually use your brain. They didn't even try to innovate. An Xbox One out of 3 Nintendos. I was completely victimized by that firefight, so I begrudgingly did a Judy mission. She's worried about Evelyn. If you didn't know, Evelyn is a crucial component to the story. Anyway, Judy told me to make contact with her where she works, at Clouds, and I knew exactly where to find those. Up the mega tower I went. My plan was to reach the top and jump really, really high. But what's this? Finding Evelyn was going to be harder than I thought. There were 12 whole clouds I needed to search.
You take a blow-up doll, remodel the hole, and that's cheating. That's infidelity.
No. Well,
how's that any different from some dollhouse ass?
'Cause the ass is meat, not latex. That's so hard to understand.
Meat, right. No feeling going on, no thinking, no awareness. It's empty. Might as well be latex. Masturbation, sophisticated kind. That's all it is.
Whoa.
I forgot Cyberpunk came out when video games were political. Good news, I happened to make it to the right cloud, courtesy of the waypoint. I tried to convince the receptionist to take me straight to Evelyn, but she wasn't having it. Then I witnessed the coolest loading screen I'd ever seen.
Damn.
This is a brothel, by the way, if you didn't know that. Evelyn's not here, so maybe her co-workers could point me in the right direction. I guess I had to hire their services. I was given the option to choose between Sky and Angel, and I could make my selection once their profiles faded away.
Oh, I can't even remember now. Shit. I can't remember which one was which.
That's the modern attention span for you. Fucking milliseconds. I hoped Sky was the male one. I dropped off my weapons, headed to the private room, and... guess what? More boring dialogue. Where the hell were my screens? I couldn't focus directly on any of this. What do I look like? Seriously, what do I look like? I didn't learn how to switch the mirror back on. Oh. This might be shocking, but in that moment, I felt an emotion. We'll come back to this. Like the receptionist, I asked her where Evelyn was, but due to Article 5 of GDPR principles, she didn't have to tell me anything if she didn't feel like it. So I got her to tell me who else I could ask. Speak to Tom upstairs, she said. I went on up to meet him, and he immediately spilled the beans on fucking everything. I didn't have to threaten him, I didn't ask twice, he just gave it all up. Like in his job description, he told me to speak to Woodman if I wanted to find Evelyn. Just to recap, I'd spoken to someone telling me to find someone, then spoke to someone who forced me to buy the right to speak to someone, who told me to speak to someone, who told me to speak to someone. Is this a prediction for job interviews? If so, I'm sure you can see the issue here. I think the devs wanted this to feel more tedious, but they clearly didn't foresee that a basic volunteer role requires a 15-stage interview process. Really should have at least doubled the number of NPCs I needed to question. It's a step in the right direction, so I'll give it a 0.5 out of it's not looking too hot. I snuck my way over to Woodman's office, arrived, felt lied to because he was made of flesh and bone, then started interrogating. It's here when we discovered that...
What happened to her?
Probably did what all the dolls try to do. Found a unicorn.
Unicorns exist in the Cyberpunk universe. Now, yes, this failed to predict the future. Unicorns don't exist in real-life 2077, but hear me out. I don't think it was unreasonable for CD Projekt Red to consider we'd have these creatures by now. I went to the zoo with my grandkids the other day, and all they had were goldfish, domesticated ferrets, and the last surviving horse painted with zebra stripes. Everything else is extinct. Most of the zoo experience was like a museum, just talks about the lasting effects of deforestation and a ton of taxidermy. CD Projekt Red was cooking here. Today, we ought to just create a unicorn. We have synthetic meat. How hard could it be? And I don't want animals that existed already. I want to see something fictional, like a griffin. or a tortoise. This is the one and only time I'll say the prediction was actually correct. It's present-day reality that's wrong. Good on you, Cyberpunk. I think that's what is a unicorn for $200 out of 10. Back to Woodman's office.
And like all basic whores, she got what was coming. As will you.
I brought my fists to a gunfight and won. I then pushed him to death and was forced to shoot my way out because I forgot cameras existed. When Woodman was alive, he told me the kid named Finger was all grown up. He works at Jig Street as a Ripper doc, and that he'd know where Evelyn was, so off I went. After I questioned him very nicely and got forced to buy a brain dance for more intel, I finally discovered where she was and retrieved her. Yet another fucking brain dance later, we find out who Evelyn wanted to sell the Keanu Reeves chip to, the Catholic Church. Where were they? Pacifica. Who in the clergy should we contact? No idea. But now we knew they were working for a fixer named Rogue. So I got on my bike, and this is exhausting. How do YouTubers do this? Is this why videos are several days long? This is Breadcrumbs, the video game. It's soul-sucking. Why do you watch this? Why am I doing this? What do you mean I need to cough up 15k? Rogue only agreed to share her knowledge if I gave her 15,000 euro dollars. Okay, I guess I'll have to make the video a week long. How else am I going to make that kind of money? But if I can't do this now, I can't finish the game. If I can't finish the game, I can't make the video. Alright, I'll quit then. It's at times like these, in the face of defeat, to cheer myself up, I put on my favorite movie, Taken. There really is just nothing more cathartic. But I don't have the DVD of Taken, so I put Pitch Black on instead.
Blast. Paris P.O.W. Antiquities dealer. Entrepreneur.
Richard B. Riddick. Escaped convict. Murderer.
That's a career? Alright, I'm back. Got a game plan. Kill people. Then money will appear in my pockets. My first customer was an ambitious entrepreneur wanting to get into the organ trade.
Excuse me? Don't challenge me, I have lock on.
Then suddenly, this guy brought my attention to the strangest thing about this game. How could Cyberpunk claim this is what would happen in 2077 when 90% of the world's population can't afford anything to throw away? The number of refuse bags is ludicrous. We're not that primitive. We repurpose the rubbish to build our homes. So, 1 grain of sand out of the beach. Obviously. I didn't kill this guy, by the way. He gave me a criticism for free. So I drove a little further up the road and did the most metal murdering I could think of.
If you ever die, like if someone throws a knife at your brain while on a motorcycle, I'm gonna piss on your grave.
Alright, this was chump change. I wanted a bigger payout, so I went to a Cyberpsycho sighting. Here I could also test my incredible skill as a retro gamer. Here's my review of the combat. If you're running a gun-dependent build and don't have netrunner hacks to stun the enemy, my quick hacks here were low tier, so the stuns don't last very long. This fight, and many others, feel quite messy, particularly with this enemy type. They dash around, sometimes unaffected by bullets, and it all boils down to strafing and shooting in a way that isn't satisfying. Regardless, I don't think I can award points here. I don't know much about shooting people, but I'd like to think it feels pretty good by now. Murdering with a gun was clearly boring as fuck in 2020, if this is how they programmed it. But again, I'm no gun expert. America, please drop a comment with how you'd score it. Shooting someone that fought back didn't make me feel very good, so I went to the next best thing, civilians. It really was just an excuse for me to test the police system, and their response was lukewarm. In my attempt to escape, I ran over several innocent people and successfully evaded the cops by driving into this blockade of burning cars. Upon driving directly into them, the incomprehensible physics engine placed me out of eyeshot. If you couldn't tell, this game is janky, which shouldn't be possible. All game mechanics should be polished because it was made in Poland by Polish people. Once I made it out safely, I realized my kill count wasn't very profitable. How do I up the ante? I discovered all you have to do is find a shootout, and you don't even have to participate. Just loot the corpses, even the police's corpses. They won't do anything. I made my character white. I sold all the junk, and I was in the green. Thank you, Riddick. I paid Rogue, finally advancing the story. Disclaimer. Can I put disclaimers this far in? Disclaimer. I'm on a YouTuber schedule. I needed to finish this review as soon as possible, so I'll be speeding through the game. On the contrary, I think this game plays best if you rush it. The main character is placed in a desperate situation with a scarily short time limit. Realistically, V wouldn't be making sure he domes every Cyberpsycho and tend to the problems of every NPC he comes across. He'd be very selective with whom he spends his time. So I'll just be doing Panam's content between the story missions with some side stuff sprinkled in. Prioritizing Panam is actually beneficial to V. The most effective way to defeat corn addiction is to fill the void with rejection therapy. I started Panam's mission and became her personal mule because I'm a certified member of the Panam Stan Club. She is best girl. A couple piss poor performances with a pistol later, and a very outdated statement said by this dude.
You got balls, girl.
Even back in the 2020s, all the girls I knew had balls. What did he mean by this? Panam helped me kidnap yet another person to interrogate for information. His name was Hellman, and he was just like Woodman in that he wasn't made of hell. I've been lied to again. I left him to Takemura, and as I walked out, he reminded me I'm playing an RPG.
V, I will remember this.
A ridiculous line, and at most, a cheeky reference. But when you muster the focus required to engage with the dialogue, it's enthralling. This is one of the most emotionally provocative RPGs ever made. Remember earlier, when I felt an emotion? This dialogue segment with the doll, Sky, happens very soon after Act 1. V wanted nothing more than to prove himself as a legend in Night City, but then the Arasaka job went foobar. Eggman was killed, and V cheated death, only to discover he'd die in 2 weeks anyway. Because of this, V's entire worldview was shattered. All he had left was the desperate pursuit to practice semen retention and find a way to remove Keanu. In the process, he increased his notoriety in the world of outlaws. He was firing on all cylinders, searching for a way out, and couldn't afford to slow down. But this is the first time V got to take a moment to reflect. When Sky said,
"I can smell your fear,"
it completely stunned me and brought me to tears. How did she know I, in real life, was scared at that moment? Or was it something else? I didn't return to V's apartment throughout the entire playthrough, so I hadn't showered him. If you're one of those video game data miners, please let me know in the comments. Can the game sense the player's emotions, or was V stinky? Furthermore, Sky pointed out V doesn't afraid of anything except change. This idea pervades the entire game. Some characters suggest that you're becoming someone different. So when V succumbs to Keanu Reeves, is he turning into Reeves himself? Similarly, when I watch Korn, am I becoming Johnny Sins? It would explain the hair loss, but I don't buy it. V doesn't behave like Keanu. Sure, you can try to engage in adult activity, and in the later acts, you can let Keanu take over your body. He is a threat to V's autonomy, but it doesn't feel like his personality is actually affected. The sexual tension between him and Eggman is palpable before Keanu is ever involved. V was already a gangbanger, and who isn't a slut in today's day and age? That's $8,000 out of 10. So no, he isn't becoming Keanu. For my V, it's not that simple. He's actually haunted by the fact that once he starts no-fapping, he'll be unrecognizable. Cyberpunk 2077 is a story about an existential struggle for control over one's identity. This theme extends to the setting. This is a world where what you look like, what you sound like, and what your body is capable of is modifiable. This is a world with a never-ending supply of brain dancers, software that allows users to immerse themselves in novel and extreme moments, experienced by someone else. This is a world where sex and emotional companionship is commodified so hard that you'd be baffled if anyone found relationships. This is a world where the wealth disparity is so enormous, and cybernetic technology so ubiquitous, that self-expression becomes nearly futile. Do you bother defining who and what you are if the components that make you are mass-produced and can be changed on a whim? In Cyberpunk, every part of the human condition is on a shelf. Tragically, most players probably make it a routine to go to the Ripper dock for upgrades and new abilities. I even changed my appearance midway through to look like Review Bra because I thought it was funny. Here, being human feels meaningless. Coming back to this conversation, Sky refers to V by his real first name, Vincent, and you can choose to swiftly shut that down. Only those close to him can call him that.
V. Just V.
What fucks me up is that no one else calls him Vincent throughout the rest of the entire game, except Keanu. But their psyches are fusing together, so I don't count that. Human connection is beautiful because people can't read your mind, but we find something to love anyway. Now, I haven't seen all the content, let me know if I'm wrong, but V can get quite close to Panam. I did so in this playthrough, and I don't recall V sharing his actual name with her, so I don't think he's telling the whole truth here. V won't let anyone get that close. Or perhaps, to him, Vincent is no longer real. Dead. The insistence to be referred to as just a single letter from his actual name seems like a deliberate literary representation of his reduced sense of identity. The reason I went over all that is because I believe the way Cyberpunk 2077 utilizes identity is unique and quite special. V exists in an intricately designed limbo between an RPG protagonist and a pre-written protagonist. He's not a fully defined character or a faceless husk. You can neither relate to V as his own fully fleshed out person, nor completely embody V as a cybernetically enhanced badass version of you. I believe it's why they gave him a voice, one per gender, not multiple like in a typical modern game with character creation. V's voice, and by extension how he expresses himself, isn't supposed to represent you. This makes V my favorite protagonist ever, because I'm a narcissist. Keanu isn't overwriting V, it's me. I mean, duh, I'm better than him. As a protagonist, he fulfills a gamer's lust for self-indulgence by being simultaneously molded by the player and detailed enough to be a meta-narrative barrier. V only leaves space for me to ask questions about myself. Nothing says it better than just before you make your final fateful move at the end of the game. Is it too late to say spoiler warning? I feel like I have to say spoiler warning. You're about to plunge into cyberspace to determine what happens to you and Keanu. You could let Keanu take over your mind, be lost to the net forever, or die right there. But what epitomizes that this game is secretly all about me is the last thing Panam says to V.
Any parting advice?
Just be yourself.
Holy cannoli, I will Panam, because I matter. He's literally not me. I hope none of that made sense. The video is nowhere near over, but I'd like to take a moment to thank you for your time. If you're enjoying this, like and subscribe. If you're really enjoying this and you have a crush on me, you know what to do. Although I've put a lot of effort into this, I am sad that I couldn't play all the content and incorporate it into this video. I've got a full-time job and rent to pay. Hopefully one day I will have the time to spend on something more comprehensive. Anyway, I know what you're going to ask. Yaffs, why are you in a coma patient's room? Well, dear viewer, we had no choice. The Earth is so overcrowded that this is the only place in the world quiet enough to record a video game review.
What happened?
It's 2077.
What? I've been in a coma?
Uh-huh. People like you need to wake up.
Oh my God!
Right, shh. You've got the rest of your life to process the fact that you've missed out on most of your life. We're filming a documentary, so...
About what? Comatose men with violent criminal histories? Specifically targeting game reviewers?
Yes?
Takemura gave me a call. He wanted to go over the plan to get head from Yorinobu. I couldn't wait to see the credits, so I speeded on over. Turns out, he intended to do it on the perfect day, the Night City Pride Parade. After he convinced me to install a remote hacking software to sabotage one of the parade floats, I, in real life, needed to pee.
Fucking worked.
A cavalcade of skip dialogue later, the quest ended and Takemura ran off to do some recon. Well, that was uneventful. It could have been a fucking text message. I spent several hours aimlessly wandering Night City, hoping to be beckoned by my queen, Panam. But she wasn't calling, so I decided to explore the wider open world. That's probably something I should review, huh? Night City is surprisingly lively and immersive. Game devs today think it's a waste of time to make their open worlds believable, but in Cyberpunk, you'll sometimes see people walking on the pavement. It's a breath of fresh air. We've only ever gone downhill since Sam Fisher shot that fish tank. Here, you can engage in activities such as eavesdropping on highly scripted conversations, pressing the interact button for one response per NPC, and using a menu screen to eat food exclusively. This is realistic because menus are where food lives. If you can believe it, more eventful sequences are available, marked on the map as side quests, but the details will remain a mystery to you until you actually get there. So, if you don't mark it on the map, you can organically stumble across them. It's pretty immersive. Take, for instance, this rave, hosted by the local gang, 6th Street. I joined in, but I messed up the dialogue, and I'm no save scum, so they got murked. It doesn't end there, though. After the firefight, I encountered a man hanging out with a ghost.
Who's your friend? He had a gun!
Hey, it was kinda self-defense. He should have known I pointed my gun at him by mistake. Games back then were so unrealistic. Now for the truly miraculous part. When I decided I was finished and tried to leave the area, the ghost took revenge.
Wow! What the fuck was that? Ow! What is happening? I'm scared. Ow! What is happening? Ow! What?
Cyberpunk 2077 has a flawless open world. Takemura gave me a call, and this time we did something more exciting, getting inside a warehouse undetected, in which I had to slow down time with a Sandever stand to switch off a camera. Cloaking did nothing. Don't worry though, Takemura had my back, and yes, the thing I said earlier about save scumming was a stone-faced lie. We then discovered that the warehouse itself is sentient. As per Takemura's claim, we'll be making it feel ill, and sure enough, once I infected it, it opened its mouth, clearly intending to expel its insides. I would have been stupid not to take the opportunity to escape. Now that that was over, we just had to wait for Pride. Panam finally called me, and of course, like a suave womanizer, I agreed to come see her without question, but not after picking a quick fight with the NCPD.
She's too nimble.
Apparently, this woman's blood was replaced with milk. Seems a little sexist. Not very feminist of you, CD Projekt Red. Women are some of the greatest bleeders I know. Please pack your knives and go. Out of 10. Did you even remember we were scoring this? Off to see Panam. If you haven't noticed, I've been driving from place to place throughout the review. It's relaxing. But this time, to get to the Badlands, I decided I wanted to test the fast travel terminals, and I'm a little embarrassed. Thanks to generative AI, we talk to NPCs in games now.
Have you guys ever heard of Mr. Hands?
No, sir, we haven't.
Mr. Hands loved horses. I wish you could meet him.
Hands were actually a real person who appreciated the beauty and stamina of horses. We do believe he would have been pleased to meet us.
It's strange going back to all these old titles in which the NPCs don't respond to everything I say in an obnoxious corporate tone. The thing is, at this moment, I forgot this wasn't a thing in Cyberpunk. So, this happened.
Where's the nearest fast travel terminal?
You don't got something better to do?
No? where's the nearest fast travel terminal? It's a simple request. I mean, you're a police officer, you know, you help with directions.
And I felt really stupid. Without her help, I found the terminal and made it to the Badlands. Panam and the others were getting ready for a heist. We set up and used an abandoned train to cut off a convoy. Once the objective was secured, we took to the road to get home, and it appears that Panam ran over this woman. It's difficult to visually confirm, but I definitely heard it.
Of course it did! Just as I said.
You can even see the moment Panam briefly hits the brakes to let the woman think she's allowing her to cross, only to accelerate at top speed. Very nuanced detail there, CDPR. Nice one. As tradition dictates, after the Panam side mission, Takemura inevitably dialed my number. The Pride Parade was that night. I won't bore you with the lead up, let's get the show on the road. Turns out, they brought snipers to the parade. Strangely, Takemura wanted me to get rid of the snipers, but if he just wanted head from Yorinobu, they shouldn't have any reason to shoot. We commenced the mission and swiftly discovered that someone invented party lights that explode. I learned my lesson though, and deactivated them as I went, until the last sniper. A couple moments later, I had to defend myself against this Oda guy. I successfully incapacitated him, took a moment to confirm he was truly no longer a threat, killed him out of the aforementioned self-defense, and Takemura reminds me I'm playing an RPG again. Finally, I jacked into a camera to witness what we came here for. Takemura and Yorinobu were about to get it on. Mission accomplished. Wait, Hanako, that's why he wanted me to get rid of the snipers. He was planning to do us straight all along. The betrayal. When I get the chance, Takemura, you're gonna pay.
Did you hear that? Go and check.
Why me, dude?
Bad feeling about this.
Damn it! On the ground, asshole! Don't move!
Last chance to get the fuck out of here!
Takemura. Can't leave him back there.
Forget him, guy's toast. Unless you want to wind up like him.
Oh. I thought revenge involved at least a little foreplay. I left Takemura for dead, securing my revenge. Next thing I knew, V and Keanu were in a motel. Coming out of a stressful situation like that, V must have fallen to temptation again. Post-nut clarity, but at what cost? Keanu Reeves had probably corroded his brain a lot by then. This couldn't keep happening. We were running out of time. Hanako sent a doll to host a Microsoft Teams meeting, and she agreed to help V remove Keanu Reeves in exchange for information. Hanako wanted to find a piece of old media lost to time, and was said to hold the secrets to becoming the ultimate assassin. The 2009 film, Soul Killer.
Soul Killer. Or rather its newer, more powerful version. You must acquire it. I am sending you my private line. Contact me if you acquire more information about Soul Killer. And only then.
This info would undoubtedly give Arasaka the edge on corporate espionage. It's no wonder world leaders went to great lengths to censor and bury this movie. Then Keanu tried to arouse me again.
Uh-huh. Clink.
What? Did you say clink?
Mm-hmm. Sound of her attaching her leash.
At this rate, V would die before the end of the week if he didn't clap some real-life cheeks soon. My savior. The solution to my problem just so happened to call me in that moment, suggesting we give the basilisk a test drive. I think I know where this is going.
Alright, I can see you've grown bored. Now take her along the line of turbines.
This wasn't an innuendo. Suddenly, we were interrupted by Someone attacking the Elder Cardos. I couldn't tell who they were small and it was dark, but red arrows means evil, so I opened fire. We successfully defended home base with the Basilisk and defended V's consciousness with his Basilisk. Now, I had just killed a lot of people and had premarital sex. V was led astray by Keanu one too many times. He was on the brink of death, so I went to church. There I could repent for my recent sins, and maybe God could tell me where to find Soulkiller. To Pacifica. I was ready to make confessions and partake in Holy Communion when I was rudely interrupted by Assassin's Creed. He grabbed my shoulder and told me that masturbatory sins can only be confessioned at the butcher's. I guess they need meat experts to handle that kind of sin. I was sent to a private area in the back where I met the bishop, Flacide. I hope you understand that AI could never come up with this, but it turns out we still couldn't conduct the confession. He led me to his open plan office and jacked me into their ultra-secure, super-firewalled cyberspace confessional system, or USFUA Couscous for short, to ensure ultimate confidentiality. Flacide scanned my memory for all the heinous shit I'd done up to that point, and hastily doused me with digital holy water. Nowadays, the kids call it spyware. I noticed that behind Flacide was a nest of netrunners ready to scrub the net's archives for the DVD special features of Soulkiller. I needed to get in there, but first I had to repent by doing the church's dirty work. I stealthed my way through them all to scour their systems and locate Flacide's person of interest. In order for the church to get a stranglehold on their targets, they need some dirt for blackmail. Whoever the target was probably powerful, influential, and engaged in shady activities. He's probably a vampire, so I jacked into the high-tech van they left behind and found this. The target had Soulkiller on the download. Things are getting interesting. The guy I was after clearly loved movies, so I headed to the one place a cinephile can't resist. Found him. After a short interrogation, we determined that he works for the Netflix copyright team. But instead of speaking to lawyers and copyright-claiming content creators, this guy secretly steals assets from human-made indie films to feed Netflix's AI slop generators. A blood-sucking corpo scumbag. So I usually blow his brains out right there and then. I don't even let him get a word out. But this time, I was paying attention to the story, and he had a DVD rip of Soulkiller at 720p Tamil dubbed with no subtitles, so I listened. He said he'd give me the movie and remove Flacide's spyware if I agreed to double-cross the church. I told him crosses are kind of the church's thing. They don't need more. Instead, he gave me a shard that'll perform a massive cyber attack by frying the nervous systems of the church's netrunners. Perhaps his little operation here was staged to lure a sucker like me into attacking the church. The plot thickens. Now all I had to do was get behind those doors back at Flacide's office. And it couldn't have been easier. I sly-talked my way into the church's netrunner facility. Flacide didn't suspect a thing. Brigitte brought me back to the netrunner center and explained that finding Soulkiller is going to be an incredibly lengthy and dangerous process. Archiving old films was precarious enough, and finding the DVD extras was going to put a strain on everyone there.
Connection stop.
Oh, sorry.
Inside the net, I got bored of Brigitte's waffling and she stalled for time while the netrunners searched for the film. So I skipped the dialogue, and lo and behold, the Netflix guy kept his promise. I cyberactively absorbed Soulkiller, discovering how to become the ultimate assassin.
You must learn how to astral project.
Through astral projection, I entered the spirit realm, and there I met an omnipotent being. I think her name was Alternative. She told me, in the deep basements of Arasaka, there's a device that could enhance my new power, called the Astral Projection Amplification Device. Soulkiller 2009 was the key to training Arasaka assassins in the ways of astral projection, and utilizing APAD would make them unstoppable. With the device, I'd be able to take back my mind completely from Keanu Reeves, but Alternative warns it would come at great cost. Unfortunately, at that moment, my astral projection was disrupted. I suddenly awakened. The Netflix copyright guy's cyber attack had just initiated, taking out the church's dedicated netrunners. Upon my escape, V had yet another Keanu Reeves attack, and this one nearly flatlined him. I woke up outside yet another hotel room. They did the nasty again, didn't they? I called Hanako to inform her I had mastered the teachings of Soulkiller. She told me to meet her at Embers. Hanako demanded my copy of Soulkiller, but I couldn't give it up just like that. Could I even trust her? Would she let me get to the basement? I tried to strike a deal. Escort me to a pad first, and then she'd get her movie. She responded by incessantly talking about the trailers 1A and 2 on the official Soulkiller YouTube channel. I think Hanako had forgotten how to handle negotiations. She yammered on and on and on, so I tried to astral project to covertly snap her out of it, but I was too weak. Now the damage was too much. This could be V's final hours, so I called the one person that helped me get through Guna withdrawal, Panam. I just had to survive long enough to get into the depths of Arasaka Tower, reach a pad, and enter the spirit realm to eradicate Keanu. But without Hanako's help, how was I going to get there? Desperate and unsure, I headed to the Aldecaldo home base. Luckily, they'd already cooked up a plan. We were going to raid an unfinished maglev tunnel to hijack a drill and dig all the way to the tower's basement. It's genuinely the most Looney Tunes thing I've ever heard. They made me part of the family. The next morning, we went on a family road trip. Watch as I spec'd my entire build around pistols and knives, only to spend most of this encounter with a sniper rifle. We made it through the maglev tunnel and found the drill. The Aldecaldos were still fighting Militech to their last dying breath. Mitch expressed his concern and urgently made his way over to the basilisk, like he was really upset about it, frantic even. After all that emotion, he just left his cigarette behind. How's he going to cope now? Drill time. I mean dirt, we drill dirt. Times in a dimension drills are not. We made it below Arasaka and went into the basement, and suddenly I had an idea. Using the nearest terminal, I inserted that shard the Netflix guy gave me. Not only did I use it to destroy invaluable church assets, but also messed up a mega corporation. This was awesome. You know what they say, the enemy of my enemy's enemy is my enemy. Saul's cranium was turned to mulch by none other than Adam Smasher, who was the final boss fight, and it's only too fitting. Mr. Smasher was to Yorinobu what Keanu Reeves is to V, a salacious buddy. If I could defeat him, I'd know I could defeat Keanu in the spirit realm. It was all coming full circle. Let's do this. Then I looted Saul's headless corpse. Because his voice actor declined my cameo request, I asked him for 2 very short lines for this review, and I'm bitter about it. We found a pad. This moment was a truly momentous moment. It was time to enter the spirit realm and destroy Keanu once and for all.
Just be yourself.
Do nothing. You're telling me to do nothing. When I arrived, no one put up a fight. Alternative just filled me in on the consequences. It was like trying to apply for citizenship. Because the damage to my brain was so great, I had to either stay in the spirit realm forever and leave my body behind for Keanu to completely take over, or go back to my body, free of Keanu, but I'd die in 6 months anyway. And if I chose the latter, I'd lose all my memories of Soulkiller. No more astral projection. This is the most difficult video game decision ever made. Sorry, V. Say goodbye.
Just realized. Already bringing everything I could possibly miss.
V, you are a sweet talker, aren't you?
But it works, doesn't it? Say it. Say it works.
It works. All too well. You're with me now. We will figure out and take care of that piece of shit in your head.
They put shit in my head? Oh wait, you probably want a final score for how prophetic the game is. Overall, I'll give it a AAA game company out of ideas. If this video hits views in the 100,000 range, I'll do the DLC. I know it's ambitious, but maybe you could get a crappy React channel to watch it or something. And check out Metal the Rat, you're about to hear his voice.
You lied to me!
I can't believe I couldn't escape this trope.
Do you have any idea how long I was in that coma?
300 years?
Yes!
You know the girl I love you. If you're coming to me, girl, I love you. If you're going away, I'll miss you. My life is something I owe you. You know the girl I love you. If you wanna see my heart, I'll show you. I know the one, I know you. If you're coming to me, girl, I love you. I love you, baby, all night.
I ate all these pizzas. Oh,
what the fuck?
My tummy. I ate so much pizza.
Fucking leave! 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 Leave the fucking channel! Go somewhere else!